And welcome back to News 12 The Bronx. I'm Kelsey Minor. Residents say anybody can get into one public housing building in our borough. That's because there's a problem with a main door leading to the lobby. Well, you asked, 12 investigates, and JT Fetch has a story from the Sotomayor houses in Soundview.
James Figueroa says his building's buzzer has flatlined, leaving nobody able to contact an apartment at this building at the Sotomayor houses in Soundview.
The buzzer don't work and the door is messed up.
All right, JT, thank you. James is called, yielding answers. We've contacted NYCHA. They told us they tested the door last month and it was operational, but they expect it to be fixed completely by this weekend. All right, elsewhere in our borough, News 12 on the scene of a pedestrian accident involving an ambulance early today. It happened around 11:30 at Bronxwood Avenue and East 228th Street. Fire officials tell us there were 3 patients in all, 2 refused treatment and 1 sent to the hospital. One woman was apparently on her phone crossing the street at the time. While their injuries were minor, there have been several deadly pedestrian accidents throughout the city recently. The latest stats show there have been 112 pedestrian deaths this year alone. Making headlines around the country, police in Los Angeles County say an officer who was shot to death was apparently targeted. Authorities say Officer Ricardo Galvez was in the driver's seat of his car when 2 suspects ran up and shot through the window. Galvez died at the scene. The suspects drove off. Although there's no word whether he was killed for personal reasons or because he was a police officer, several people have already been detained as part of that investigation. Turning overseas to India, James Bond is looking a little different. The country's Central Board of Film Certification has censored out all kissing scenes in the latest movie Spectre, which came out earlier this month. The scenes were deleted in a move to restrict content seen there as immoral. $187 billion. That's what local officials say is the value of total real estate across the 5 boroughs. It's part of a new report set to be released by Comptroller Scott Stringer, comparing New York's spending to that of other cities. It will also break down spending by city agency, along with the cost of the major projects. Stringer says it's the first time all of this info will be made available in the same document. Well, according to published reports, those self-balancing scooters you see on the sidewalks, well, they're illegal. Also known as hoverboards, the devices are now banned from city streets. As revealed in a tweet by the NYPD, the paper cited a police spokesman who says the hoverboards are illegal since they're considered motor vehicles that cannot be registered with the DMV. And from the Daily News, a Bronx bus driver was nearly blinded behind the wheel during rush hour yesterday. Kenneth Johnson was on the BX-15 on 3rd Avenue when he noticed a red laser shining in his eyes from his windshield. He said it came from someone sitting in the back, and he immediately pulled over. That's when he told his passengers to get on another bus and called police. The MTA says they are cooperating with the investigation. 12 is on health now, as a new study suggests you should probably start drinking coffee to stay alive longer. The report shows people who drink up to 4 cups of coffee a day, decaf or regular, are less likely to die from heart disease and diabetes, among other causes. The study also looked at smokers and non-smokers, hinting that the negative effects of smoking outweigh the positive effects of drinking coffee. I'm Kelsey Minor. You're watching News 12 The Bronx. We've got more of your hyperlocal headlines on the way, but first, here's Mike. Now on 12, a thief breaking into a Bensonhurst restaurant, stealing thousands of dollars in electronics, and it was all caught on camera. We have the reaction from the owners. And Mayor Bill de Blasio speaking about terror threats here in New York City and what the city plans to do about it. And of course, Daryl Green here taking a look at the cold days to come with your weather on the twos.
As local news gets. News 12, Brooklyn.
Good evening. You're watching News 12 Brooklyn, and we are as local news gets. I'm Kelsey Minor. A brazen thief breaks into a Bensonhurst restaurant and steals thousands of dollars and electronics. But what this thief didn't know is he was being watched. News 12 Brooklyn's Crystal Walker has the story from 18th Avenue. story, Crystal. Thank you. Now, police have the suspect's fingerprints, but so far they have not identified him. So if you recognize the man seen in the surveillance video, you can give Crime Stoppers a call at 1-800-577-TIPS. Turning now to weather on the twos with weather anchor Daryl Green. And Daryl, a soggy, wet day. Yes?
Yeah, really the bulk of the wet weather will be moving through as well.
Mayor de Blasio holding a press conference today to address concerns of a terrorist threat in New York City. A recent video posted online by ISIS shows a man putting a bomb in his jacket and had footage of Times Square. De Blasio saying that there is no credible threat, but New York is heightening security in Times Square and other crowded areas as a precaution. De Blasio says in fighting terrorism, people need to be vigilant. If you see something, say something.
The terrorists want you to change. They want you to be afraid. They want you to change your way of life. They want to undermine our democracy. We will not let the terrorists win. We will not change who we are.
De Blasio also says that New York has the best counterterrorism force in the country with more than 500 people on it, and that contact with federal government on terrorism is the best it has ever been. Now, this brings us to our question of the day. Are you concerned about another terror attack in New York City? Let us know at news12.com or channel 612 on Optimum TV. The House defies President Obama passing a bill that will make it tougher for refugees from Syria and Iraq to get into our country. This after it's believed at least one of the terrorists involved in Friday's attacks in Paris got into Europe posing as a refugee. Even though President Obama vowed to veto new restrictions from refugees, the House passed the measure today, 289 to 137. Dozens of Democrats ended up voting with Republicans, exceeding the two-thirds majority that would be needed to override a veto. The bill would, in effect, suspend the refugee program for months or even years while tighter restrictions are put into place. Well, back in our city, a state report says that Con Edison violated a safety regulation that could have led to an explosion in East Harlem back in 2014. That blast killed 8 people and injured many more. The State Public Service Commission says that explosion came from an unprotected gas pipe. Con Ed has 30 days to respond to the report, which can lead to financial penalties. You're watching News 12 Brooklyn, and we are as local news gets. I'm Kelsey Miner. Coming up, community leaders calling for a crackdown on illegal car dealers that they say is costing the state millions of dollars in tax every year. The details coming up.